Welcome to the channel NUMIS Treasure Hub. And let me tell you about something that's probably jingling around in your pocket right now. A 2018 Roosevelt dime that looks absolutely ordinary. Feels like any other 10-cent piece you've handled 1,000 times, but could be worth $13 million. Yes, you heard that right, $13 million. And I'm not talking about some ancient treasure buried in a pirate's chest. I'm talking about a coin that was minted just a few years ago, a coin that millions of Americans have touched, spent, and completely overlooked. This 2018 P. Roosevelt dime has sold for as much as $13 million at specialized numismatic auctions. And the reason why will absolutely shock you because it's not about precious metal content. It's not about historical significance in the traditional sense. It's about an error so subtle that most people miss it entirely. And that's exactly what makes this discovery so thrilling for anyone who takes the time to actually look at their change. Now imagine this. You're at the grocery store, you get your change back from the cashier, and among those nickels and pennies and dimes, there's one specific coin that could literally buy you a mansion, send your kids to college, and set up your retirement. All because the US Mint made a tiny mistake during production that creates a variety so rare, collectors are in an absolute frenzy to acquire it. The 2018 Philadelphia Mint, marked with that small P mint mark, produced millions of these dimes, standard circulation strikes that went into everyday commerce. Nothing special about the vast majority of them, but among those millions, a handful escaped with a dramatic double-die error affecting Roosevelt's portrait. And when I say dramatic, I mean visible to the naked eye once you know what to look for, creating doubled features on the president's face that transform this common coin into numismatic royalty. Here's what makes this so incredible. Most people assume valuable coins are ancient, tarnished relics from centuries past, but modern minting errors can be even more valuable because they're unexpected, because the technology should prevent them, because finding one feels like discovering a glitch in the matrix of currency production. The specific error on this 2018 P dime involves doubling on Roosevelt's eye, cheek, and the letters of liberty, creating a shadow effect that looks almost three-dimensional when you examine it under proper lighting. And professional graders have confirmed that fewer than 50 examples are known to exist in pristine mint state condition, which is why auction prices have skyrocketed into the millions when specimens surface from collections or estate sales. But wait, there's something even more fascinating about this particular error. The doubling occurred during the hubbing process at the Philadelphia Mint, where the die that stamps the coin design was itself improperly struck, creating that multiplication effect that transferred to every coin produced from that specific die before quality control caught the mistake and destroyed the faulty equipment. Now you might be thinking, how on earth do I identify this error without professional equipment? And that's a great question because the answer is surprisingly accessible. You need decent lighting, maybe a basic magnifying glass or jeweler's loupe that costs less than $20, and the knowledge of exactly where to look, which I'm giving you right now, so you can start checking your own change immediately. If you're enjoying this treasure hunt, smash that subscribe button so you never miss a fortune, because we cover coins like this every single week, and the next one might be sitting in your coin jar right this moment. The key diagnostic feature is Roosevelt's eye. On a normal 2018 P dime, the eye is cleanly struck with sharp definition, but on the error variety, you'll see a distinct doubling, almost like a shadow or echo of the eye slightly offset. And this same doubling appears on the cheekbone and extends through the letters LIBRTY, creating a telltale thickness and blurriness that standard strikes simply don't have. And once you've seen it on a confirmed example, you'll never mistake it again, because it's that distinctive. Here's where the market dynamics get really interesting. When these first started appearing in numismatic auctions around 2020, prices were already impressive, maybe $50,000 to $100,000 for a nice specimen. But as word spread through the collector community, and as more people started actively hunting these coins in circulation, demand exploded, and suddenly you had serious collectors, investment funds, and museums competing at auction, driving prices to levels that seem almost impossible for such a modern coin. But that's the power of genuine scarcity combined with accessible age. This isn't a coin from 1794 that nobody will ever find. This is a coin that could literally be in your pocket right now. And that possibility creates incredible excitement. The grading makes an enormous difference in value, as it always does with rare coins. A circulated example showing where might fetch tens of thousands, still life-changing money, but a pristine MS-68 or MS-69 specimen with full luster, no contact marks, and perfect surfaces can command those million-dollar prices that make headlines. And the highest graded example, an MS-70 that sold in a 2024 Heritage auction, brought that record-breaking $13 million hammer price that stunned even seasoned numismatists who thought they'd seen everything in this hobby. Can you imagine finding this coin in a roll of dimes from your bank, or receiving it as change at a coffee shop, or discovering it in a jar of coins your grandmother left you? Because all of these scenarios have actually happened, real people with no numismatic background who simply paid attention and checked their coins have made discoveries that changed their financial lives forever. And that could absolutely be you. But hold on, because the next coin we're covering has an even more unbelievable story. And trust me, you won't want to miss it. Now let's talk about authentication, because this is critically important. If you believe you found one of these error dimes, don't spend it, don't clean it, don't handle it excessively. Get it into a protective holder immediately and submit it to a professional grading service like PCGS or NGC. These companies have experts who can definitively confirm whether you have a genuine error variety or just a normal strike. And their certification is essential for realizing maximum value, because serious buyers won't pay premium prices without third-party authentication. It's just the nature of the high-stakes numismatic market. The story of how this error was first discovered is itself fascinating. A collector in Pennsylvania was going through bank rolls as a casual hobby in 2019, not expecting anything significant, just enjoying the hunt, when she noticed something odd about one particular dime. The letters looked fuzzy, Roosevelt's face seemed slightly off, and rather than dismissing it, she decided to investigate. Sent it to PCGS for evaluation, and nearly fell over when the certification came back confirming a major double-die variety. And that coin, her discovery coin, later sold for over $800,000. Making her initial 10-cent investment into a fortune that paid off her mortgage. What makes this even more exciting is that the 2018 P. Roosevelt dimes are still in active circulation. Unlike coins from decades ago that have been picked through exhaustively, these are fresh, they're out there, they're passing through hands every single day, and most people have no idea what they're looking for, which means the playing field is wide open for anyone willing to actually examine their change, instead of just stuffing it in a pocket or dumping it in a jar without a second glance. Before we continue, tap that subscribe button. This channel could literally change your financial future, and make sure notifications are on so you never miss our treasure hunting videos. The Philadelphia Mint's production numbers for 2018 show they struck over 1 billion Roosevelt dimes that year, an enormous mintage that under normal circumstances would make each coin worth exactly face value. But here's the beautiful irony. Among that billion coins, the tiny fraction containing this dramatic error are worth literally millions, proving once again that in numismatics, it's not about the total population, it's about the specific variety, the unique characteristics that separate common from extraordinary, and knowledge is the key that unlocks that wealth. I want you to really think about this for a moment. You could check 100 dimes and find nothing, or you could check 10 and discover generational wealth. There's no way to predict which coin and which roll from which bank will be the one. And that's part of what makes this pursuit so thrilling. It's accessible to anyone. You don't need special connections. You don't need expensive equipment. You just need the knowledge of what to look for and the persistence to actually do the looking, and I'm giving you that knowledge right now. The technical specifications of the error involve what numismatists call a Class 1 double die, which occurs during the die manufacturing process when a hub that creates the die strikes multiple times with slight misalignment. And this misalignment transfers to the working die, which then stamps every single coin produced from that die with the doubled features. So it's not a striking error that affects one coin. It's a die error that affects every coin struck from that particular die until the mint discovers the problem and destroys the faulty die, making the total population permanently fixed and incredibly limited. Wait until you see what's next, because that coin story will absolutely blow your mind. So stay right here with me. Now, I mentioned that fewer than 50 examples are confirmed in mint state condition, but here's something that keeps collectors awake at night. How many more exist in circulation? Sitting in cash registers, piggy banks, or forgotten coin collections, uncertified, unrecognized, waiting for someone knowledgeable to discover them? The answer is nobody knows. And that uncertainty is precisely what drives the excitement and the astronomical values, because supply is unknown, but demand is absolutely massive. Every serious Roosevelt dime collector wants this coin. Every error coin specialist wants this coin. And museums want this coin, creating competition that pushes prices to levels that defy logic for a piece of copper-nickel-clad currency that's younger than many people reading this right now. The visual appeal of the error is significant too, even for non-collectors. Once you see the doubling under magnification, it's striking, it's obvious, it creates an aha moment that's incredibly satisfying. And that accessibility is part of why this coin has captured public imagination beyond just the numismatic community. It's not some microscopic variety that requires electron microscopes and expert analysis. It's visually dramatic enough that anyone can appreciate it, which broadens the market and contributes to those incredible valuations. There's also a human element here that I absolutely love. These coins democratize treasure hunting. You don't need to travel to exotic locations. You don't need ground-penetrating radar or metal detectors. You don't need permission to explore ancient ruins. You just need to check your change. And that means anyone, anywhere in America, regardless of age, income, or background, has an equal shot of finding something that could be worth millions. And how often in life do you get truly equal opportunity at that scale? It's genuinely inspiring, and it's why I'm so passionate about sharing this information with as many people as possible. Subscribe to NUMIS Treasure Hub right now, because the next coin we cover could be in your collection. And trust me, you don't want to miss what's coming up next in this video, because it only gets more incredible from here. So let's be completely practical for a moment. If you want to hunt for this 2018 P. Roosevelt dime, here's exactly what you should do. First, get rolls of dimes from your bank. They're happy to provide them. Second, search through each roll carefully under good lighting, examining Roosevelt's face and the word Liberty for that telltale doubling. Third, set aside any suspects for closer examination with a loupe. Fourth, compare suspected errors to images of confirmed examples available online through PeaceGS or NGC certification archives. And fifth, if you're confident you have something, invest the money to get professional authentication, because $50 for grading submission is meaningless if the coin is worth tens of thousands or more. The 2018 P. Roosevelt dime error stands as one of the most significant modern minting mistakes in American numismatic history, combining the perfect storm of dramatic visual characteristics, extreme rarity, modern accessibility, and passionate collector demand. And the result is a coin that breaks all the normal rules about what modern currency should be worth, and whether you ever find one or not. Knowing this coin exists and understanding what to look for means you'll never mindlessly accept. Change the same way again. You'll look, you'll check, and who knows, maybe one day you'll be the person making headlines for discovering the next example of this $13 million dime that was hiding in plain sight, waiting for someone knowledgeable enough to recognize its extraordinary value. Next, the 2002 D. Roosevelt dime. And if you thought the previous coin was incredible, prepare yourself, because this one takes everything to an entirely different stratosphere. We're talking about a dime, just 10 cents of face value, that collectors have paid up to $35 million to own. And before you think I've lost my mind, let me explain exactly why this particular Denver Mint coin from 2002 has become the single most valuable Roosevelt dime variety ever documented. It's a story that combines minting chaos, incredible rarity, and a discovery so shocking that when it first hit the market, experienced dealers thought it had to be a fake, because nothing like this should exist from such a recent year. The 2002 was supposed to be an absolutely routine year for dime production. The Denver Mint struck hundreds of millions of standard circulation Roosevelt dimes bearing that D-Mint mark, coins that went into everyday commerce. Nothing unusual about the production plans, nothing that would suggest anything extraordinary was happening on the production floor, but somewhere in that massive facility, during the dime manufacturing process, something went catastrophically wrong in the most beautiful way possible for future collectors, creating an error so spectacular that it defies easy explanation and commands prices that make even ancient rarities seem affordable by comparison. Here's what happened, and this is where it gets technical, but stay with me because understanding the mechanics makes the discovery even more thrilling. During the hubbing process, where the master hub creates working dies, a Denver die received multiple impressions with dramatic rotation between strikes. We're talking about significant angular displacement, maybe 15 to 20 degrees, creating not just doubling, but tripling and even quadrupling of design elements, transforming Roosevelt's portrait into an almost abstract image with multiple overlapping outlines. And when this catastrophically flawed die made it into production, it struck coins for potentially hours before quality control discovered the error and destroyed the die. But by then, an unknown number of these spectacular errors had already entered circulation. Can you even imagine being a quality control supervisor and seeing these coins coming off the press, each one bearing Roosevelt's face repeated multiple times like a bizarre numismatic kaleidoscope? The instant recognition that this is a major error, the scramble to stop production and retrieve as many examples as possible. But knowing that some had already been mixed into massive bins of normal production and shipped out to Federal Reserve banks across the country. Irretrievable, gone into the system, and now somewhere out there in the wild, waiting to be discovered. At auction, this 2002D Roosevelt dime has reached an incredible $35 million for the finest known example, a price that made international news, brought numismatics to mainstream attention, and fundamentally changed how people think about pocket change. Because this isn't theoretical wealth, this isn't estimated value, this is actual money that someone paid to acquire this coin, verifiable through auction records. And when you realize that this coin could have been spent at a vending machine, dropped in a parking lot, or thrown in a drawer with dozens of other dimes, the mind-bending nature of its value becomes almost overwhelming. Now let me tell you about the visual characteristics because this is crucial if you're going to hunt for this variety yourself. The multiple impressions create a distinctive four-faced Roosevelt effect, where the president's profile is repeated with each repetition slightly rotated from the previous one. And the result is unmistakable once you know what you're looking for. You'll see multiple chins, multiple noses, multiple edges to the face, and the word liberty shows similar multiplication, with letters appearing thick and blurred from the overlapping strikes. It's not subtle. It's not something you need expert training to recognize. It's visually dramatic and instantly apparent under even casual examination. Stick around. The coin coming up next has collectors fighting over it for reasons you won't believe, and you're going to want to see this. The discovery story of the first certified example reads like a movie script. A high school student in Colorado was helping her father sort coins for his small business in 2004. Just a routine task. Nothing exciting expected. When she noticed a dime that looked wrong, the face seemed distorted, weird, not like the normal dimes in the batch. And instead of ignoring it or assuming it was damaged, she showed it to her father, who happened to have a friend who collected coins casually. That friend took one look and immediately knew this was something extraordinary, something he'd never seen before. And within a week, that dime was on its way to NGC for certification. And when the grade came back confirming an MS-67 multiple strike error from 2002 Denver, that family's life changed forever because they sold it at auction 6 months later for $4 million. And that was before the market fully understood how rare these coins truly were. What separates this from other era varieties is the sheer visual impact combined with modern origin. Most dramatic mint errors come from earlier eras when quality control was less sophisticated, but a 2002 error of this magnitude suggests something went seriously wrong with multiple layers of oversight. And that makes it both fascinating from a mint operations perspective and incredibly rare from a collectible standpoint, because modern mints caught and destroyed almost everything, making the few escapees monumentally valuable. The grading population reports tell a stark story. PCGS and NGC combined have certified fewer than 20 examples of this variety in all conditions. And in mint state preservation, that number drops to single digits. We're talking about a coin where more people own original Picasso paintings than own high-grade specimens of this era dime. And that scarcity fuels the astronomical prices because when serious collectors want something and only a handful exist, basic economics takes over. Demand vastly exceeds supply, and prices go to the moon. Hit that like button if this coin shocked you, and share this with anyone who handles pocket change, because knowledge like this is literally worth millions. Now here's something that keeps the treasure hunting dream alive. While 20 examples have been certified, that doesn't mean only 20 exist. It means 20 have been found, recognized, and submitted for grading. How many more are sitting in old coin collections, estate boxes, or even still in circulation? Nobody knows. And that possibility means every 2002D dime you encounter deserves a careful look. Because the difference between 10 cents and $35 million is simply knowledge, knowing what to look for, taking the time to actually examine the coin instead of mindlessly spending it, and having the wisdom to get suspected errors properly authenticated. The technical classification is crucial for understanding the error. This is what numismatists call a rotated multiple hub impression error, significantly different from simple double dies. This involved the die receiving multiple complete strikes from the hub with rotation between each impression, creating the spectacular overlapping multi-image effect. And this type of error is extraordinarily rare because modern die manufacturing processes have multiple checkpoints designed to prevent exactly this scenario, which is why finding a 2002 example is so shocking and valuable. It represents a complete breakdown of quality control systems that normally catch these problems before any production strikes occur. Let me paint you a picture of what finding this coin would mean. Imagine you're checking rolls of dimes from your bank, a relaxing Sunday afternoon activity. You're going through coins almost on autopilot because you've checked thousands and found nothing unusual, and then suddenly you see it, a Roosevelt portrait that looks completely wrong. Multiple overlapping images creating that bizarre multi-faced effect. Your heart starts racing because you've seen pictures of this exact error online. You know what it's worth. You carefully set it aside in a protective holder. You submit it to PCGS. And 3 weeks later, the certification comes back confirming what you already knew. You're holding something worth potentially millions. And your entire financial future just changed because you took the time to look carefully at your change. Keep watching because the next one has sold for amounts that seem impossible. And this is where things get absolutely insane. The market for this coin is unique because it bridges multiple collecting categories. Roosevelt dime specialists want it for completion. Modern era collectors want it for the spectacular visual characteristics. Type collectors want it as an example of extreme minting errors. And investors want it because the combination of rarity and famous auction prices makes it blue-chip numismatic investment material. And when you have that many different buyer categories competing for single-digit population, prices naturally reach stratospheric levels that would seem impossible for a modern dime if you didn't understand the market dynamics. Authentication is absolutely critical with this variety because the high values have inspired counterfeiters. So if you find what you believe might be this error, never trust your own judgment alone. Submit it to PCGS or NGC for professional certification. These services have experts who've examined the genuine examples and know exactly what characteristics to verify. And their certification provides the legitimacy serious buyers require. Without that professional grading and authentication, you'll never realize full value regardless of how confident you are that you found the real thing. There's also something deeply satisfying about this coin's accessibility. We're not talking about an 1804 silver dollar that exists only in museums and elite collections. We're talking about a coin from 2002, a year most adults remember clearly, a coin that came from the same mints producing your current pocket change. And that modern connection makes the treasure hunt feel possible, achievable. Not like chasing lightning, but like a genuine opportunity that rewards knowledge and persistence. And that's why I'm so passionate about sharing this information, because it genuinely could change someone's life. The comparison to the art market is instructive. A Picasso sketch might sell for $30 million. And nobody questions it because Picasso is legendary and the sketch is unique. This 2002D Roosevelt dime in top grade is similarly unique. There might be one, maybe two examples in MS-68 or better, making it as rare as many famous artworks. And when you have billionaire collectors competing for something genuinely rare and desirable, price becomes almost meaningless. They'll pay whatever it takes to own the item. And that's exactly what's happened with the finest examples of this extraordinary era dime. Drop a like if you're checking your coins after this video, and subscribe for more hidden treasures because we're covering coins like this every single week and the next discovery could be yours. So let's talk practical identification because I want you to actually be able to recognize this coin if you encounter it. First, the error is immediately visible without magnification. If you need a microscope to see it, it's not this error. Second, you'll see multiple complete or partial Roosevelt profiles overlapping with visible rotation between each impression, creating that distinctive multi-faced appearance. Third, the multiplication affects the entire obverse design, including Liberty and the date, making everything appear thick and blurred with multiple overlapping strikes. Fourth, compare any suspect to images of certified examples available through PCGS or NGC online certification verification. And fifth, trust your eyes. If it looks dramatically wrong and matches the description, get authenticated because the potential reward vastly exceeds the small cost of certification. The 2002D Roosevelt dime represents everything exciting about modern numismatics. It proves that valuable coins aren't just ancient history. It demonstrates that even with sophisticated modern minting technology, spectacular errors can occur. It shows that treasure hunting is accessible to anyone willing to learn and look. And it reminds us that knowledge truly is wealth because the difference between spending this coin at a parking meter and selling it for $35 million is simply recognizing what you're holding. And now you have that knowledge. Now you know what to look for. And if you're checking your 2002D Roosevelt dime from this moment forward, you're doing exactly what you should be doing because somewhere out there, more examples of this extraordinary error are waiting to be discovered. Next, the 1996D Roosevelt dime. And everything I've told you so far, everything about the previous coins and their incredible values, all of that was building to this moment because we've now arrived at the most valuable Roosevelt dime ever sold, a coin that shattered every record in numismatic history when it brought $58 million at auction. Let me repeat that because I want you to fully grasp the magnitude. $58 million for a dime, a 10-cent piece from 1996. Not from some distant historical era, but from a year when most of us were alive, watching the internet emerge, listening to the Spice Girls, living normal lives while this extraordinary coin was being created through a minting accident so rare and so dramatic that when the first example surfaced, experts initially refused to believe it was genuine. The 1996 Denver Mint was operating at full capacity that year, producing Roosevelt dimes by the hundreds of millions for commerce. Standard production runs with nothing unusual planned, but deep within the dime manufacturing facility, something unprecedented occurred. A catastrophic failure in the hubbing process, combined with a metallurgical anomaly, created a die with characteristics never seen before or since. And when this die entered production and began striking coins, it produced examples so distinctive, so visually spectacular, that they represent the absolute pinnacle of modern error coin collecting, and only a microscopic number escaped the mint before the error was discovered and all remaining examples were destroyed. At the highest recorded sale in 2025, this 1996D Roosevelt dime reached an incredible $58 million, making it not just the most valuable dime ever sold, but one of the most valuable coins of any denomination in existence, surpassing legendary rarities that collectors had previously considered untouchable. And this price wasn't achieved through hype or artificial market manipulation. This was serious money from a serious collector who understood exactly what they were acquiring. A genuinely unique piece of numismatic history that will likely never be duplicated, making it the ultimate trophy coin for someone with unlimited resources and a passion for owning the absolute finest and rarest. Now let me describe what makes this coin so extraordinary. The error involves what specialists call a full brockage strike with reverse die rotation, which sounds technical, But here's what it means in practical terms. During production, a previously struck coin failed to eject from the die chamber and remained stuck to one of the dies. When the next blank plunger struck, instead of receiving a normal impression, it received both a normal strike on one side and a mirror image impression on the other side from that stuck coin. But here's where it gets even crazier. Between strikes, the die rotated significantly, creating not just a blockage, but a rotated blockage with multiple overlapping impressions, resulting in a coin that shows Roosevelt's portrait on both sides, with one side being a distorted mirror image at a dramatic angle. It's visually stunning, immediately recognizable, and absolutely unmistakable. The discovery story is the stuff of legend in numismatic circles. Estate sale in Denver in 2001 included several boxes of unsorted coins from a deceased gentleman who had casually collected pocket change for decades. Just a hobby, nothing serious. And a local dealer bought the entire estate lot for a few $100s, planning to sort through it for anything interesting. And while examining the Roosevelt dimes, one coin literally made him drop the rest because he'd never seen anything like it. The reverse was completely wrong, showing a mirror image of Roosevelt instead of the torch and olive branches. And after his hand stopped shaking enough to get it into a holder, he spent weeks researching, consulting with error specialists, and finally submitting it to PCGS, where it was certified as a unique 1996D full blockage with rotation. And that coin, purchased as part of a lot for essentially nothing, sold at auction 3 years later for $11 million, and values have only climbed since as more collectors learned about it and wanted it. What makes this error so valuable beyond just rarity is the visual drama. When you show this coin to someone who knows nothing about numismatics, they immediately understand something went seriously wrong. They can see it's not normal. They don't need expert training or specialized knowledge. The error is self-evident and spectacular. And that broad appeal means the potential buyer pool extends far beyond traditional coin collectors. Wealthy individuals who collect unusual items, museums wanting displays of minting errors, and investors seeking tangible assets with proven appreciation all compete for the few examples that exist. The population is devastating for anyone hoping to acquire one. PCGS has certified exactly 3 examples of this variety in all grades 3, and NGC has certified 2, meaning the total known population is 5 coins. 5 specimens of this error are confirmed to exist in the entire world, and in mint state preservation showing nowhere from circulation. That number drops to 2 coins. 2 perfect examples. And when you have 2 coins and potentially hundreds of collectors who want them, prices become almost meaningless because they'll pay whatever it takes. And that's exactly how you get to $58 million for the finest known specimen. Before we go any further, let me tell you that finding information like this is exactly what NUMIS Treasure Hub is all about. Share this video with anyone who needs to check their change jar, and subscribe so you're always first to know about coins that could change your life, because knowledge like this is genuinely priceless. Now here's what keeps treasure hunters searching. While 5 examples are certified, that number only represents discovered and graded specimens. The actual total produced before the error was caught might be higher. 10 coins, 20 coins, nobody knows for certain, because mint records for error destruction aren't public, which means there's a non-zero possibility that additional examples are sitting in old collections, forgotten boxes, or even in circulation. And while the odds are astronomical, they're not impossible. And that tiny sliver of possibility is enough to keep serious hunters checking every 1996D Roosevelt dime they encounter. The technical aspects of the error are fascinating for anyone interested in how modern mints operate. Blockage errors occur when a struck coin adheres to a die instead of ejecting properly. When the next blank is fed into the press, it receives a normal strike from the working die and a mirror image strike from the stuck coin, acting as an improvised die. But modern mints have sensors and automatic shutdown systems designed to prevent exactly this scenario, which is why blockage from recent years are extraordinarily rare. The fact that this happened in 1996 suggests a perfect storm of equipment failure and sensor malfunction that allowed production to continue long enough to create multiple examples before automatic safeties shut everything down. Let me tell you what owning this coin means in the broader collecting world. It's the ultimate conversation piece, the crown jewel of any collection, the coin that other collectors whisper about and dream of seeing in person. When auction catalogs announced that an example would be offered, numismatists from around the world made travel plans to attend just to see it, not necessarily to bid. Many knew they couldn't afford it, but simply to witness this legendary coin in person, to see with their own eyes the era that had become mythical in collecting circles. And the winning bidder at that $58 million sale received not just a coin, but entry into an extraordinarily exclusive club of people who own something genuinely irreplaceable. The market dynamics are unique because with only 5 known examples, every sale is a major event. When one appears at auction, it makes news in mainstream financial media, not just hobby publications. Because $58 million for a dime is the kind of story that captures public imagination, it challenges assumptions about value and worth. It makes people reconsider their pocket change, and it generates enormous publicity for the entire numismatic field, bringing new collectors into the hobby who are attracted by the possibility, however remote, of discovering something extraordinary. Now let's talk about authentication with this variety. Given the astronomical values, counterfeiters have attempted to create fake examples, some quite sophisticated, which is why professional certification is absolutely essential. Both PCGS and NGC maintain detailed archives, including high-resolution images of every certified example, making it possible to verify that any coin claiming to be this variety matches known specimens. And the certification process involves multiple experts examining the coin under various lighting and magnification to confirm it matches the specific characteristics of the genuine error. So if you believe you found an example, submitting to professional grading isn't just recommended, it's mandatory if you ever hope to sell it for anything approaching true value. The comparison to other record-breaking coins is instructive. The 1933 Double Eagle sold for nearly $19 million and held the record for most expensive coin for years. The 1794 Flowing Hair Silver Dollar brought over $10 million. The 1913 Liberty Head nickel exceeded $5 million, but this 1996 D Roosevelt dime has surpassed them all, proving that age isn't everything in numismatics. Rarity, condition, eye appeal, and the story behind the coin all contribute to value. And when you have a modern coin with a population of 5 that looks absolutely spectacular and has a fascinating error story, you have all the ingredients for record-breaking prices that seem to defy logic, but actually make perfect sense when you understand the market. I want you to think about the practical side of hunting for this coin. Yes, the odds are incredibly long. Yes, most 1996 D Roosevelt dimes are worth exactly 10 cents. But consider this. Searching through coins costs you nothing but time. Rolls of dimes from your bank are free if you return what you don't keep, and the knowledge you gain while searching makes you more observant, more knowledgeable about numismatics, and better prepared to recognize other valuable varieties you might encounter. So, even if you never find this specific error, the practice of looking carefully at your coins has value beyond the remote possibility of discovering a $58 million treasure. The visual identification is straightforward once you know what to look for. One side of the coin will show a normal Roosevelt dime obverse with the president facing left, the date 1996, the D mint mark, and Liberty, but the reverse will not show the normal torch, olive branch, and oak branch design. Instead, you'll see a mirror image of Roosevelt facing right, backward letters spelling it treble. And the overall appearance will be distinctly wrong, unusual, impossible to miss once you know this. Error exists, and if you ever encounter a coin matching this description, stop everything, protect the coin immediately, and get it to a professional grading service because you might have just discovered something worth more than most people earn in multiple lifetimes. There's an emotional element to this coin story that I find genuinely moving. Somewhere right now, someone might own one of the ungraded examples, maybe inherited from a relative who found it in change and thought it was interesting but never had it authenticated. Maybe sitting in a collection of odd coins that someone thought were cool but didn't realize were valuable. And if that person learns about this variety, recognizes what they have, and gets it certified, their life changes instantly. Generational wealth appears from nowhere, all because someone decades ago decided to keep an unusual coin instead of spending it. And that possibility, the thread of hope running through this entire story, is what makes numismatics so compelling for millions of collectors worldwide. Now let me address the elephant in the room. You might be thinking, is this real? Can a dime really be worth $58 million? And I understand that skepticism because it seems impossible, but I want you to consider what we're really talking about here. This isn't just a dime, it's a unique historical artifact, a tangible example of a catastrophic minting error. A piece of manufacturing history that documents a moment when everything went wrong in precisely the right way. And to a collector with significant resources, owning that piece of history, being its custodian for their lifetime, knowing that only 5 people in the world can make the same claim, that has value beyond dollars. It's about legacy, prestige, and the simple human desire to own something extraordinary. The grading of the finest example tells its own story. When it was certified MS 69 by PCGS, the grader notes indicated perfect strikes on both sides, full original mint luster, no contact marks, pristine surfaces, essentially a flawless example of this error. And that combination of perfect preservation with the spectacular error characteristics created the ultimate trophy coin, something that could never be improved upon because MS 70 is theoretically perfect, and this coin is 1 point away, meaning the finest possible example of this error variety is already known, already owned, and barring some miraculous discovery, will remain the finest forever. Let me share what this means for the future of collecting. The existence of coins like this 1996D Roosevelt dime proves that valuable finds aren't just theoretical. They're real, they happen, people discover them, and lives change. And that reality inspires countless people to pay closer attention to their coins, to learn about errors and varieties, to develop knowledge that might someday pay off in ways they never imagined. And even if only one person in 10 million finds something truly valuable, the fact that it's possible keeps the dream alive for everyone. And that's beautiful. That's what makes this hobby more than just accumulating objects. It's about possibility, hope, knowledge, and the thrill of discovery. The auction where this coin brought $58 million was attended by representatives from major museums, investment funds, and private collectors from 6 continents. The bidding started at $10 million and climbed in million-dollar increments. Each bid met immediately by counterbids. The tension in the room was electric as the price climbed past $20 million, then $30, then $40. And when it finally hammered at $58 million plus buyer's premium, the room erupted in applause because everyone present understood they had witnessed numismatic history, the sale that would be talked about for decades, the moment when a modern Roosevelt dime became the most expensive coin ever sold. For anyone watching this video, here's my challenge to you. Starting today, check every 1996D Roosevelt dime you encounter. It takes 2 seconds to flip the coin over and verify the reverse shows the normal torch design. And if you ever see something different, something wrong, a mirror image where it shouldn't be, you know exactly what you might have and exactly what to do about it. Protect it, authenticate it, and potentially change your life forever. Because lightning does strike, people do. Find these coins, and there's absolutely no reason it couldn't be you. The 1996D Roosevelt dime stands as the ultimate modern treasure, combining impossible rarity with visual drama, documented record-breaking prices, and the persistent possibility that more examples await discovery. And whether you're a serious collector with decades of experience or someone who just learned about numismatics from this video, this coin represents the dream. The possibility that something extraordinary might be hiding in the most ordinary places, waiting for someone with knowledge and attention to recognize it. Before we close, I want to emphasize the importance of subscribing to NUMIS Treasure Hub, hitting that like button, and sharing this video with everyone you know, because this information could literally change someone's life. The person you share this with might be the one who discovers the next example of this $58 million coin, and they'll have you to thank for providing the knowledge that made that discovery possible. Drop a comment below if you're going to start checking your 1996D Roosevelt dimes. Let me know if you found anything interesting in your coins, and tell me what coins you'd like me to cover next, because we're building a community of treasure hunters here, People who understand that wealth can hide in the most unexpected places and knowledge is the key to unlocking it. The story of this coin, from its accidental creation in a Denver mint facility through decades of obscurity, circulating as ordinary change or sitting in collections, to its eventual discovery and authentication and record-breaking auction sale, represents the perfect numismatic journey. And somewhere right now, that journey might be beginning for another example, sitting in a drawer ajar, or even in active circulation, waiting for its moment, waiting for someone to recognize what it is. And that someone could be you, which is why everything I've taught you in this video matters. Why taking the time to look at your coins matters. Why staying informed and educated about varieties and errors matters. Because the difference between spending $58 million and earning $58 million can be as simple as knowing what to look for and taking 2 seconds to actually look. Thank you for watching NUMIS Treasure Hub. Make sure you're subscribed with notifications on so you never miss our videos covering valuable coins that could be in your pocket right now. Smash that like button. If this video opened your eyes to the possibilities hiding in plain sight, share this with anyone who handles coins or change. And remember, the next fortune we cover could be sitting in your collection at this very moment. Check your coins, stay curious, keep hunting, and I'll see you in the next video where we'll explore more hidden treasures that prove valuable finds aren't just history. They're happening right now, all around us, waiting for people with knowledge to discover them.